Welcome to Warhammer 40k 8th edition Battle Report 37, 2,000 points, Chaos Demons of Tzeentch versus Dark Angels. This will be the big rulebook, Maelstrom of War mission, Cleanse and Capture, and we will be rolling for a random map deployment today. Let's take a quick look around the board at where the objective markers have been placed. Beginning in this 2 foot by 2 foot section, objective marker 3 has been placed right here next to this ruin. In this middle 2 foot by 2 foot section, objective marker 5 has been placed up here next to this ruin. In this third 2 foot by 2 foot section, objective marker 6 has been placed right here next to this ruin along the edge. On the other side of the board, in this 2 foot by 2 foot section, objective marker 4 has been placed right here next to this ruin. In this middle 2 foot by 2 foot section, objective marker 2 has been placed up here next to this crater. And finally, in this 2 foot by 2 foot section, objective marker 1 has been placed up here next to this crater. For this battle report, the Dark Angels will have 8 command points available, and the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will have 8 plus D3, thanks to Kairos Fateweaver being their warlord. And so here's the D3 roll, getting a 2 on the D3, so the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will have 10 command points total. For a full overview of both armies and all of the war gear that they are bringing, please check out the pregame show, which was released at the beginning of the group. The link for the pregame show will be in the description down below. And so now we will roll for the random map deployment, rolling a 5, which is Frontline Assault. A reminder that the Frontline Assault deployment map starts 6 inches from the back table edge and then goes up the board to a point in the middle, 9 inches away from the center, and then back down the other side to the 6-inch mark. And just for reference, here's the other side of the board, beginning at the 6-inch mark, going up to a point at 9 inches away from the center, and then back down the board to the 6-inch mark. On a roll of a 1, 2, or 3, Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will begin to deploy on the left, and the Dark Angels will begin to deploy on the right. On a 4, 5, or 6, it'll be the opposite, so Chaos Demons of Tzeentch on the right, and Dark Angels on the left. And here's the roll. So Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will be on the right, and Dark Angels will be on the left. On a 1, 2, or 3, Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will begin to deploy first, and on a 4, 5, or 6, the Dark Angels will begin to deploy first. Rolling a 1, so the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will begin to deploy first. We will be back after the deployment. The deployment is now finished. The Chaos Demons of Tzeentch began to deploy first, but the Dark Angels finished deploying first, which means that the Dark Angels will go first unless the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch are able to successfully seize the initiative. Let's take a quick look around the board at where each army placed all of their units. Beginning with the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch deployment, going from left to right from Tzeentch's perspective, we have the first squad of 10 Pink Horrors, the first squad of 6 Screamers, first Demon Prince of Tzeentch with Wings, Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery and the Everstaff, Lord of Change with Baleful Sword and the Impossible Robe, the Warlord Kairos Fateweaver, second squad of Pink Horrors, this squad has the Demonic Icon and the Instrument, second Demon Prince of Tzeentch with Wings, second squad of 6 Screamers, and finally the third squad of 10 Pink Horrors. Moving over to the Dark Angels deployment, going from left to right as well from the Dark Angels perspective, we have the first squad of Tactical Marines, the squad of 6 Ravenwing Black Knights, Ravenwing Talonmaster, second squad of Tactical Marines, Land Raider Redeemer. When this unit was set up on the board, Belial and the squad of 5 Deathwing Knights were placed inside of the Land Raider. Belial, of course, is their warlord. The first Nephilim Jetfighter, Predator, third squad of Tactical Marines, and finally the second Nephilim Jetfighter. So now the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will attempt to seize the initiative on a 6, and they fail by rolling a 5. So let's go into Dark Angels turn 1. Going into Dark Angels turn 1, a reminder that the Dark Angels have 8 command points available, and the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch have 10 command points available. At the beginning of the turn, the Dark Angels drew 3 new tactical objective cards, and they drew Defend Objective 5, score 2 victory points if you control Objective Marker 5 at the end of 2 consecutive turns, Secure Objective 1, score 1 victory point if you control Objective Marker 1 at the end of your turn, and Defend Objective 4, score 2 victory points if you control Objective Marker 4 at the end of 2 consecutive turns. And Objective Marker 5 is this one right here next to the Dark Angel's deployment zone, but currently not being held by anyone. Objective Marker 1 is this objective marker right here next to the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch deployment zone, but currently not being held by anyone. And Objective Marker 4 is this one right here next to the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch deployment zone and currently being held by a squad of pink horrors. Going into the movement phase, we will begin with this Predator, which will remain still. This squad of Tactical Marines will now move up the board up to 6 inches, and they will finish like so, now within 3 inches of the center of Objective Marker 6. This squad of Tactical Marines sitting on Objective Marker 3 will remain still. This squad of Tactical Marines will move up the board up to 6 inches to get within 3 inches of the center of Objective Marker 5, and they will finish their movement like so, right next to Objective Marker 5. Belial is going to disembark from the Land Raider, and Belial will disembark right there. Now Belial will move up to 5 inches up the board, and he will also declare an advance. And here's his advance roll, rolling 5 additional inches for up to 10 inches of total movement. And Belial will finish his movement right there. Now this Land Raider will move up the board up to 10 inches. And the Land Raider will finish its movement like so. And the Ravenwing Talonmaster will finish right there. This unit of Ravenwing Black Knights will move up the board up to 14 inches. Right to there. This Nephilim Jet Fighter will pivot up to 90 degrees to its left and move up the board at least 20 inches, but no more than 50. And the Nephilim Jet Fighter will finish over here, and it is within 6 inches of both the Ravenwing Talonmaster and Belial. Finally, this Nephilim Jet Fighter will pivot up to 90 degrees to its left and move up the board at least 20 inches, but no more than 50. And it will finish its movement like so. Going into the shooting phase for Dark Angel's turn 1, the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch are going to begin by using the stratagem Warp Surge for 2 command points, bring them from 10 down to 8. Use this stratagem at the start of any phase, select a unit of demons. Until the end of the phase, you cannot reroll saving throws for the unit, but its invulnerable save is improved by 1 to a maximum of 3 up, and this will be placed onto the Warlord Kairos Fateweaver. So we will begin by having this squad of Ravenwing Black Knights fire their plasma talons with supercharged shots into this squad of 6 screamers. And they are 2 shots apiece at 18-inch range, but because they are supercharged, we will have to do them one at a time. So we will begin with the Sergeant and then move down the line with regular biker 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, beginning with the Sergeant, 2 shots, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s thanks to Belial, getting 2 hits. Biker number 1, 2 shots, getting 2 hits. Regular biker number 2, 2 shots, hitting on 3s, getting 2 hits. Regular biker number 3, getting 1 hit and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting 2 hits. Regular biker number 4, getting 2 hits. And regular biker number 5, getting 1 hit and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting a 2nd hit. So Dark Angel's off to a very good start with all 12 hits from the supercharged plasma talons. Strength 8 versus toughness 4 means wounding on 2s, rerolling thanks to the Ravenwing Talonmaster, and getting all 12 wounds. So 12, 4 up invulnerable saves. Wow, that's a bad roll. Passing 3 and failing 9. And they are 2 damage apiece, which means every single fail would kill off a Screamer, and so there is no point in Tzeentch trying to re-roll one of those, because all 6 Screamers will be killed. And so in a single volley, this squad of 6 Screamers is completely wiped out. And they would have been wiped out even if they had used Warp Surge. And so that will be first blood for the Dark Angels. Next, this Predator will fire everything that it has into the Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery and the Everstaff. Beginning with the 2 last cannons, hitting on 3s, getting 2 hits. Strength 9 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 3s, getting 1 wound. 1 4-up invulnerable save, which fails. And the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will use 1 command point going from 8 down to 7 for a command reroll in order to reroll the failed invuln. And here's the reroll, and it still fails. And it will do d6 damage, and it will only do 2 damage. So the Dark Angels will use 1 command point going from 8 down to 7 for a command reroll to reroll the damage. And here's the reroll. Rolling another 2. That's 4 2s in a row. So 2 damage will go through. So the Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery will fall from 16 starting wounds down to 14. 2 D3 shots from the Predator autocannon, getting 4 shots, hitting on 3s, Ooh, bad roll. Getting 1 hit. Strength 7 versus toughness 7 means wounding on a 4, and it wounds. 1 4-up invulnerable save, which passes. This plasma cannon, which did move, will fire standard shots into the Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery. And it will fire D3 shots, getting 2 shots, hitting on 4 since it moved, getting 1 hit. Strength 7 versus toughness 7 means wounding on a 4, and it wounds, and 1 4-up invulnerable save, which fails. So the Lord of Change will fall from 14 wounds down to 13. The plasma cannon and 1 bolt gun from this tactical marine squad are able to see and will fire into the Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery. Beginning with the bolt gun, 1 shot, hitting on a 3, and it hits. Strength 4 versus toughness 7 means wounding on a 5, and it wounds. 1 4-up invulnerable save, which fails. So the Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery will fall from 13 wounds down to 12. And since they moved, the plasma cannon will fire standard shots, D3 shots, getting 1 shot, hitting on a 4 since it moved, and rolling a 1, but re-rolling, thanks to Belial, and still failing to hit. The plasma cannon from this tactical marine squad will fire standard shots into this squad of pink horrors. D3 shots, getting 2 shots, hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1 since they remain still, getting a hit and a reroll, and here's the reroll, still failing to hit. Strength 7 versus toughness 3 means wounding on a 2, and it wounds. 1 4-up invulnerable save, which fails. So 1 pink horror will go down. This Nephilim jet fighter will fire its Black Sword missile launchers into this Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery and the Everstav. It will fire its Avenger Mega Bolter into this squad of pink horrors. And finally, it will fire its Twin Heavy Bolter into this squad of Screamers. Beginning with the 2 shots from the Black Sword missile launchers. Hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s thanks to Belial, getting a hit and a reroll. And here's the reroll, still failing to hit. Strength 7 versus toughness 7 means wounding on a 4, re-rolling 1s, and failing to wound. 10 shots from the Avenger Mega Bolter onto the pink horrors, hitting on 2s thanks to Strafing Run, re-rolling 1s thanks to Belial, getting 9 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting a 10th hit. Strength 6 versus toughness 3 means wounding on 2s, re-rolling 1s thanks to the Talon Master, getting 8 wounds and 2 rerolls. And here's the 2 rerolls, getting 9 wounds total. 9 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 5 and failing 4. So 4 pink horrors will go down, leaving 5 left alive in the squad. Finally, 6 shots from the Twin Heavy Bolter into the Screamers, hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s thanks to Belial. No strafing run because the Screamers can fly, getting 4 hits and 2 rerolls. And here's the 2 rerolls, getting 6 hits. Strength 5 versus toughness 4 means wounding on 3s, re-rolling 1s thanks to the Talon Master, getting 4 wounds and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting 5 wounds. 5 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 3 and failing 2. 1 damage piece, so 1 fully healthy Screamer will go down, leaving 5 models left alive in the squad. This Ravenwing Talonmaster will fire its Twin Assault Cannon into the Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery, and he will fire his Twin Heavy Bolter into the squad of 5 Screamers. Beginning with the Twin Heavy Bolter into the Screamers, 6 shots, hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s thanks to Belial, getting 1 hit and 2 rerolls. And here's the 2 rerolls, still failing to get any more hits. Strength 5 versus toughness 4 means wounding on a 3, and it wounds. 1 4-up invulnerable save, which fails. So the Screamer on the end will fall from 2 starting wounds down to 1. Now for the Twin Assault Cannon. 12 shots, hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s, getting 7 hits and 3 rerolls. And here's the rerolls, getting 10 hits total. Strength 6 versus toughness 7 means wounding on 5s, re-rolling 1s, getting 3 wounds and 3 rerolls. And here's the rerolls, failing to wound. 3 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 2 and failing 1. So the Lord of Change will fall from 12 wounds down to 11. This Nephilim jet fighter, the second one, will fire its Black Sword missile launchers into the Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery, and he will fire both his Avenger Mega Bolter and his Twin Heavy Bolter into the squad of 5 Screamers. 2 shots from the Black Sword missile launchers, hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s thanks to Belial. And here's the reroll, getting 2 hits. Strength 7 versus toughness 7 means wounding on 4s, re-rolling 1s, getting 1 wound. 1 4-up invulnerable save, which fails. And it is 2 damage, so the Lord of Change will fall from 11 wounds down to 9. 10 shots from the Avenger Mega Bolter into the Screamers, hitting on 3s. and rerolling 1s thanks to Belial. So getting 7 hits and 3 rerolls. And here's the 3 rerolls, getting 1 additional hit. Strength 6 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s thanks to the Talon Master. Getting 4 wounds and 3 rerolls. And here's the rerolls. Getting 2 more wounds for 6 wounds total. 6, 4 up and vulnerable saves. Passing 4 and failing 2. So the wounded Screamer will be killed off, and 1 more fully healthy Screamer will fall from 2 wounds down to 1 left. Now for 6 shots from the Twin Heavy Bolter, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s thanks to Belial. Getting 4 hits and 2 rerolls. And here's the 2 rerolls. Getting 5 hits total. Strength 5 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s thanks to the Talon Master. Getting 2 wounds and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll. Getting 3 wounds total. 3, 4 up and vulnerable saves. Passing 2 and failing 1. So 1 more Screamer will go down. Finally, this Land Raider will fire its Twin Assault Cannon into this squad of 3 Screamers. 12 shots, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s. So 9 hits, 2 rerolls, 1 cocked dice. And here's the cocked dice, getting another hit, and then the 2 rerolls of 1, getting 1 more hit for 11 hits total. Strength 6 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 9 wounds and 2 rerolls. And here's the rerolls, getting 1 more wound for 10 wounds total. 10, 4 up and vulnerable saves. That was pretty good. Passing 8, failing 2. So only 1 more Screamer will go down. Going into the Assault phase. For Dark Angels turn 1, there are no charges to declare, which means going into the Fight phase, there are no fights to resolve. But going into the Morale phase, this squad of Screamers lost 4 models this turn, and they have a leadership of 7. However, they are within 6 inches of a Lord of Change, who is a greater demon, and therefore they can use this leadership of 10, which means it is impossible for them to fail. This squad of Pink Horrors lost 5 models this turn, and they have leadership of 7, and they are not within 6 inches of a greater demon, so they will have to take morale check. And so here's their morale check roll, and they roll a 6, which means that they will lose 4 models. And because that would kill off all but the Iridescent Horror, the Daemons of Tzeentch will use 1 command point, going from 7 down to 6, for a command reroll to reroll the 6. And here's the reroll. And so now they will only lose 2 models. So 2 more Pink Horrors are removed. So taking a look at the tactical objective cards, the Dark Angels are now 1 turn into defending objective 5. They have failed to secure objective 1, and they have not yet begun to defend objective 4. And at this point, they will throw defend objective 4 away. And so at the end of Dark Angels turn 1, the score currently sits at 1 victory point for the Dark Angels thanks to First Blood, and 0 victory points for the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch. Going into Chaos Demons of Tzeentch turn 1, a reminder that the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch have 6 command points available, and the Dark Angels have 7 command points available. At the beginning of the turn, the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch drew 3 new tactical objective cards, and they drew behind enemy lines. Score 1 victory point if you have at least 1 unit completely within the enemy's deployment zone at the end of your turn. If you have at least 3 units within your opponent's deployment zone at the end of your turn, score D3 victory points instead. Defend objective 2, score 2 victory points if you control objective marker 2 at the end of 2 consecutive turns, and secure objective 3, score 1 victory point if you control objective marker 3 at the end of your turn. And objective marker 2 is this one right here, next to the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch deployment zone, but currently not being held by anyone. And objective marker 3 is this one right here, currently being controlled by a squad of tactical marines. Going into the movement phase, this squad of Pink Horrors sitting on objective marker 4 will remain still. This squad of Pink Horrors is going to move up to 6 inches up the board to better control objective marker 1, right to there. The Warlord, Kairos Fateweaver, is going to move up the board up to 12 inches, and he will finish his movement like so, making sure to stay over an inch away from any enemy models. The Lord of Change with Baleful Sword and the Impossible Robe will now move up the board up to 12 inches, and he will finish his movement like so. This Demon Prince of Tzeentch with Wings will now move up the board up to 12 inches, right to there. The Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery and the Everstaff, since he's still at 9 wounds, can move up the board up to 12 inches, and it will finish its movement like so. Now this Demon Prince of Tzeentch with Wings will move up the board up to 12 inches, right to there. Next, this squad of 10 pink horrors will march up the board up to 6 inches, and they will also declare an advance. And here's their advance roll, adding 1 thanks to the instrument in the squad for 7 inches of advance and up to 13 inches of total movement. And they are now sitting within 3 inches of the center of objective marker 2. Finally, this squad of 2 screamers will move up to 16 inches up the board, and they will finish like so. Going into the psychic phase, we will begin by having the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch use the stratagem Locus of Conjuration for 2 command points, bring them from 6 down to 4. Use this stratagem at the start of your psychic phase, select a Tzeentch demon character from your army. Until the end of the phase, you can reroll any failed psychic tests made for friendly Tzeentch demon units within 6 inches of that model. And so this stratagem will be used on the Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery and the Everstab because it will affect not only himself, but it will also affect Kairos Fateweaver, the other Lord of Change with Baleful Sword and the Impossible Robe, this Demon Prince of Tzeentch over here, and this squad of pink horrors. Speaking of which, we will begin with this squad of pink horrors attempting to manifest Smite onto the Land Raider Redeemer because it is the closest enemy unit within 18 inches and also visible. So rolling just 1 dice, looking for a 5 or a 6, and they fail to get it, but thanks to Locus of Conjuration, they do get to reroll. And here's the reroll. Still failing with a 3. Next, this squad will attempt to manifest Smite onto the Ravenwing Black Knights because they are the closest enemy unit within 18 inches and also visible. Rolling just 1 dice, however, and looking for 6, and failing with a 2. So now this Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings, the one that will not have a reroll, thanks to Locus of Conjuration, will attempt to manifest Smite onto the squad of Ravenwing Black Knights. And Smite now has a warp charge value of 7, and it passes with a 7. So it will do D3 mortal wounds, and it will do 3 mortal wounds. And the Ravenwing Black Knights have 2 wounds apiece, so the one on the end will be removed, and then the next one will fall from 2 starting wounds down to 1. Now the other Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings will attempt to manifest Smite onto the Land Raider Redeemer. And Smite now has a warp charge value of 8, and it fails with a 4, but thanks to Locus of Conjuration, it can be re-rolled, and it fails with a 6. Next, the Lord of Change with Baleful Sword and the Impossible Robe will attempt to manifest Smite onto the squad of Ravenwing Black Knights, as they are the closest enemy unit within 18 inches and also visible. And he will also attempt to manifest Boon of Change onto Kairos Fateweaver. Beginning with Smite, which now has a warp charge value of 9, and it passes with a 13, thanks to the +2 from his psychic test bonus. So it will do D6 mortal wounds, and it will do just 1 mortal wound. And the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will use 1 command point going from 4 down to 3 for a command reroll to reroll the 1. And here's the reroll, and it will do 4 mortal wounds instead. So the wounded Ravenwing Black Knight will be brought down, a fully healthy Ravenwing Black Knight will be killed off, and a third Ravenwing Black Knight will be reduced from 2 wounds down to 1 left. Now for Boon of Change from the Lord of Change onto Kairos Fateweaver, which has a warp charge value of 7, and that will pass with a 7 thanks to +2 from the psychic test bonus. And so rolling a D3 on the table, rolling a 2 on the D3, which is Mystic Strength +1 Strength. So until the start of the next Chaos Demons of Tzeentch psychic phase, Kairos Fateweaver will have a base strength of 7 instead of 6, which means that with the Staff of Tomorrow, he will be strength 9 instead of strength 8. Kairos Fateweaver will attempt to manifest Gaze of Fate. He will attempt to manifest Smite onto the Land Raider Redeemer, and he will also attempt to manifest Bolt of Change onto the squad of Ravenwing Black Knights. Beginning with Gaze of Fate, which has a warp charge value of 6, and it passes with a 10, thanks to +2 from the psychic test bonus. So the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will have 1 free reroll later this turn. Now for Smite, onto the Land Raider, which now has a warp charge value of 10, and that will pass with a 12, but it will also peril. However, thanks to his Warlord trait, Tyrant of the Warp, Kairos Fateweaver can roll a dice, and on a 2-up, he ignores the perils, and he does. So we'll do D6 mortal wounds, and it will do 4 mortal wounds. So the Land Raider will fall from 16 starting wounds down to 12. Now for Bolt of Change onto the Ravenwing Black Knights, which has a warp charge value of 8, and it will go off with a 12. So it will do D3 mortal wounds, and it will do just 1 mortal wound. So that will finish off the wounded Ravenwing Black Knight, leaving just 2 left alive in the squad. And we are going to go back briefly a moment, because I had forgotten about the stratagem, but the Dark Angels are going to use the stratagem, the Armor of Contempt, for 1 command point, bring them from 7 down to 6. Use this stratagem when a Dark Angel's vehicle from your army suffers a mortal wound. Roll a d6 for that mortal wound and each other mortal wound inflicted on this model for the rest of the phase. On a 5-up, the mortal wound is ignored. And this could be very important, so rolling 4 5-ups, and they get 1 but fail 3. But that will mean that the Land Raider is brought back up from 12 wounds to 13. Finally, the Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery will attempt to manifest Smite onto the Land Raider Redeemer, and he will also attempt to manifest Flickering Flames onto the squad of 10 pink horrors behind him. Beginning with Flickering Flames, which has a warp charge value of 5. And it will pass with a 7. And actually with an 8, thanks to +2 from the Psychic Test bonus, because he rolled a 6. So now for Smite, which now is a warp charge value of 11, but he gets to add 3 to this roll thanks to the Everstab. So only rolling a 5, which only gives him a total of 8, so he'll have to re-roll thanks to Locus of Conjuration. And here's the re-roll, still failing to get it. The Chaos Demons of Tzeentch are now going to use the stratagem Magical Boon for 1 command point, bring them from 3 down to 2. Use this stratagem at the end of your Psychic phase, select a Tzeentch Demon Psyker from your army. It can immediately attempt to manifest 1 additional Psychic power this turn. And we will use this on Kairos Fateweaver, and he will attempt to manifest Treason of Tzeentch onto the Ravenwing Talonmaster. And Treason of Tzeentch has a warp charge value of 8. And it fails by rolling a 4, +2 from Psychic Test bonus means a 6, but gets to re-roll it thanks to Locus of Conjuration. And here's the re-roll, and he will get it with an 8 after rolling a 6. So it will go off. And so now Kairos Fateweaver will roll 2 dice, and if it exceeds the leadership value of the Ravenwing Talonmaster, that Ravenwing Talonmaster will be controlled by Tzeentch until the end of the fight phase. And the Ravenwing Talonmaster only has a leadership of 8, so looking for a 9 or higher, and failing by rolling a 6. But Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will use their Gaze of Fate reroll to reroll the 1. And here's the reroll, rolling only an 8. So they fail to control the Talonmaster. Going into the shooting phase, there's just 1 unit that needs to fire, and it will be this squad of 10 pink horrors firing all of their Coruscating Flames into the Land Raider Redeemer. And Coruscating Flames are an assault weapon, so they can be fired even though they advanced. However, they will have to subtract 1 from hit rolls, of course. So 20 shots hitting on 5s. And re-rolling 1s thanks to the Demon Prince nearby, somehow not rolling any 1s in 20 dice, but still getting a very nice 10 hits. Strength 3 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 6s, but thanks to Flickering Flames, getting to add 1 to wound rolls, so actually wounding on 5s, and getting a very nice 6 wounds. No AP, so 6 2-up armor saves, passing all 6. Going into the assault phase, the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will begin by using the stratagem Warp Surge for 2 command points, bring them from 2 down to 0. Use this stratagem at the start of any phase, select a unit of demons. Until the end of the phase, you cannot reroll saving throws for this unit, but its invulnerable save is improved by 1 to a maximum of 3 up. And this will be used on Kairos Fateweaver, who will declare a charge into the Land Raider. So we will begin with the Overwatch from the Twin Assault Cannon. 12 shots, hitting on 6s, rerolling 1s thanks to Belial, getting 1 hit and 4 rerolls. And here's the rerolls, getting 1 additional hit. Strength 6 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 5s, rerolling 1s, and failing to wound. But now 2 D6 shots from the Flamestorm Cannons, getting the worst possible roll with double 1s. So the Dark Angels are going to use 1 command point, going from 6 down to 5, for a command reroll to reroll 1 of the 1s. And here's the reroll, now getting 7 shots. This weapon automatically hits, so 7 hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 5s, rerolling 1s thanks to the Talonmaster, getting 1 wound and 2 rerolls. And here's the 2 rerolls, still failing to wound. 1 3-up invulnerable save, which passed. And here's the charge range, getting double 1s. But luckily, he's within 2 inches of the Land Raider Redeemer, so he will automatically make it in anyways. And Kairos Fateweaver, still at full health, is now locked in combat with the Land Raider Redeemer. Now this Demon Prince of Tzeentch, with wings, will charge into the Land Raider. No Overwatch anymore, so here's the charge distance, getting 11 inches. Even though going through a crater, it is more than enough. and the Demon Prince is now locked in combat. The Lord of Change with Baleful Sword and the Impossible Robe will now declare a charge into the squad of 2 Ravenwing Black Knights. And the Black Knights will fire Overwatch with their Plasma Talons, and they will fire supercharged shots, so these will have to be done separately, beginning with the Sergeant, 2 shots hitting on 6s, rerolling 1s thanks to Belial, and failing to hit. And the regular Biker, 2 shots hitting on 6s, getting 1 hit. Strength 8 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on a 3, rerolling 1s, getting a wound, and 1 3-up invulnerable save, which fails. And because it is supercharged, it will do 2 damage instead of 1, so the Lord of Change with Baleful Sword and the Impossible Robe will fall from 16 starting wounds down to 14. And here's his charge distance, getting 8 inches. And the Lord of Change is now locked in combat. Finally, this Demon Prince of Tzeentch with Wings will declare a multi-charge into the Ravenwing Black Knights and the Nephilim Jet Fighter, with the Black Knights being the primary target. Only the Nephilim Jet Fighter will be able to overwatch, so beginning with the 2 Black Sword missile launcher shots, hitting on 6s, rerolling 1s, getting a hit and a reroll. And here's the reroll. Still just getting 1 hit. Strength 7 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on a 3, rerolling 1s, getting a wound. -3 AP, so 1 4-up invulnerable save, which passes. 10 shots from the Avenger Mega Bolter, hitting on 6s, rerolling 1s, getting a hit and 2 rerolls. And here's the 2 rerolls, still failing to hit. Strength 6 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on a 4, rerolling 1s, and failing to wound. And finally, 6 shots from the Twin Heavy Bolter, hitting on 6s, rerolling 1s, getting 1 hit. Strength 5 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on a 5, rerolling 1s, getting a wound. -1 AP, so 1 4-up invulnerable save, which passes. And here's the charge distance, rolling just 4 inches. So 4 inches definitely was not enough to get him into combat with the Nephilim Jet Fighter, so he is only in combat with the Ravenwing Black Knights, and because of that, he did not have to enter the crater, and so he was able to move up to here while getting into combat, and now the Demon Prince is under 4 inches away from the Nephilim Jet Fighter, which is significant, because if the Lord of Change with Baleful Sword attacks first and kills off the Ravenwing Black Knights, then when it's the Demon Prince's turn to fight, he can pile in 3 inches towards the Nephilim Jet Fighter, get within an inch, and then be able to fight the Nephilim Jet Fighter, since he declared a charge against it. So going into the fight phase, we first have to resolve the Locus of Trickery from Tzeentch, rolling 2 dice, taking away the highest, and for once, a 1 is not rolled, so hit rolls of 3 will not count, although that won't help against the Land Raider. And so we will begin with the Lord of Change with Baleful Sword, placing his attacks onto the 2 Ravenwing Black Knights. 5 attacks base with the Staff of Tzeentch onto the Ravenwing Black Knights, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, thanks to the Demon Prince getting 4 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, still failing to hit. Strength 6 versus Toughness 5 means wounding on 3s, getting 3 wounds, -2 AP, so 3 5-up armor saves, and failing all 3. And they are 3 damage apiece, so even just 2 would have finished off the squad, which means since 3 went through, there's no point in the Dark Angels trying to reroll 1. And so that will wipe out the remaining 2 Ravenwing Black Knights. So now the Lord of Change with Baleful Sword will consolidate forward a couple of inches, like so. Since the only unit the Dark Angels have left in combat is the Land Raider Redeemer, the Dark Angels will not waste the command points on counteroffensive. So continuing then with charging units, we will pick this Demon Prince of Tzeentch to fight next, who will of course pile in up to 3 inches. And he is now within an inch of the Nephilim Jet Fighter, and will fight. 7 attacks base, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s thanks to himself, getting 7 hits. Strength 7 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on 3s, getting 5 wounds. -2 AP, so 5-up armor saves, passing 1 and failing 4. And they are 2 damage apiece. So this Nephilim Jet Fighter will fall from 10 starting wounds down to 2. The Demon Prince will also consolidate in a little bit further, right to there. Now Kairos Fateweaver will pile in and then place his attacks onto the Land Raider. 5 attacks base with the Staff of Tomorrow, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 4 hits. Strength 9 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 3s, getting 3 wounds. -3 AP means 3 5-up armor saves, passing 1, failing 2. And the Dark Angels will use 1 command point, going from 5 down to 4, for a command reroll to reroll the 4. And here's the reroll. And they pass, so only 1 will go through. But it will do D6 damage, and of course it only does 1 damage. So the Land Raider will fall from 13 wounds down to 12. Finally, from the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch, the second Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings will place his attacks onto the Land Raider. 7 attacks, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s thanks to himself, getting a very bad roll of 4 hits and 3 rerolls. And here's the rerolls, getting all 7 hits. Strength 7 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 5s, getting 1 wound. Minus 2 AP, so 1 4-up armor save, which fails. And it is 2 damage, so the Land Raider will fall from 12 wounds down to 10. And now the Land Raider will hit back. 6 attacks, and he will place the attacks onto the Demon Prince. Hitting on 6s, rerolling 1s, getting a very nice 3 hits. Strength 8 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s thanks to the Talon Master, getting a wound and a reroll. And here's the reroll, getting 2 wounds. No AP, so 2 3-up armor saves, passing 1 and failing 1. So the Demon Prince will fall from 8 starting wounds down to 7. And finally, the Nephilim Jet Fighter will strike back. 3 attacks, hitting on 6s and failing to hit. So going into the morale phase, there are no morale checks to take. So taking a look at the tactical objective cards, Chaos Demons of Tzeentch failed to complete behind enemy lines. They are now 1 turn into defending objective 2, and they have failed to complete secure objective 3. But the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch will hold on to all 3 tactical objective cards. And so at the end of Chaos Demons of Tzeentch turn 1, the score currently sits at 0 victory points for the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch and 1 victory point for the Dark Angels. Going into Dark Angels turn 2, a reminder that the Dark Angels have 4 command points available and the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch have 0 command points available. A reminder that the Dark Angels held on to the tactical objective cards Defend Objective 5 and Secure Objective 1 from the previous turn. However, the Dark Angels are going to use the stratagem New Orders for 2 command points, bring them from 4 down to 2. Use this stratagem after generating your tactical objectives at the start of your turn, immediately discard a tactical objective and generate a new one. And so normally they would do this after drawing a new tactical objective card, but they are going to use that stratagem in order to throw Secure Objective 1 away so that they can draw 2 new ones instead of just 1. And so the 2 new tactical objective cards that they drew were Mission Critical Objective. When this tactical objective is generated, roll a d6, score 1 victory point if you control the corresponding objective marker. If the corresponding objective marker was controlled by your opponent at the start of your turn and you controlled it at the end of your turn, score d3 victory points instead. And so it will be objective marker 4. And they also drew Kingslayer, score d3 victory points if your opponent's warlord has been destroyed during this or any previous turn. And objective marker 5 is this one right here, currently being held by a squad of tactical marines. And objective marker 4 is this one right here, currently being held by a squad of pink horrors. So going into the movement phase, this squad of tactical marines will remain still. This predator will also remain still. This squad of tactical marines sitting on objective marker 3 will remain still. The squad of tactical marines sitting on objective marker 5 will also remain still. The Ravenwing Talon Master is going to move over on the board up to 16 inches, and he will finish his movement right here. This Nephilim Jet Fighter is going to pivot up to 90 degrees to its right and move up the board 20 inches, and it will finish its movement right there. This Nephilim Jet Fighter will now pivot up to 90 degrees to its left and move right across the board 20 inches, but no more than 50. And the Nephilim Jet Fighter will finish like so. Belial will now move up to 5 inches over on the board, and he will finish right there. The squad of 5 Deathwing Knights is going to disembark from the Land Raider, and the Deathwing Knights will disembark like so. Now the Land Raider Redeemer is going to fall back out of combat up to 10 inches, and it will finish right there. The Dark Angels will now use the stratagem Intractable for 2 command points, bring them from 2 down to 0. Use this stratagem after one of your Dark Angels units has fallen back. That unit can still shoot this turn, and the stratagem will of course be used on the Land Raider. Finally, this squad of Deathwing Knights will now move 5 inches up the board, right to there. Going into the shooting phase, we will begin with this Nephilim Jet Fighter, which will fire its 2 Blacksword missile launcher shots and its twin heavy bolter into the squad of 2 Screamers, and it will fire its Avenger Mega Bolter into the squad of 3 Pink Horrors. Beginning with the Avenger Mega Bolter, 10 shots, hitting on 4s thanks to Strafing Run and being down to 2 wounds, getting 6 hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 2s, getting 5 wounds, 5 4-up and vulnerable saves, passing 3 and failing 2. So the 2 regular pink horrors will go down. Next, the 2 Black Sword missile launcher shots into the Screamers, hitting on 5s, failing to hit. And now 6 shots from the Twin Heavy Bolter, hitting on 5s, getting 5 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 3s, getting 3 wounds, 3 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 2 and failing 1. So 1 Screamer will fall from 2 wounds down to 1 left. The Ravenwing Talamaster will fire his Twin Assault Cannon into this Demon Prince, since it is the closest enemy unit and also visible, and he will fire his Twin Assault Cannon into this lone Iridescent Horror. Beginning with the Twin Heavy Bolter, 6 shots, hitting on 3s, getting 6 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 3 means wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 5 wounds, 5 4-up and vulnerable saves, passing 1 and failing 4. So this pink horror squad is finally wiped out. Now for the 12 shots from the Twin Assault Cannon into the Demon Prince, hitting on 3s, getting 9 hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on 4s, rerolling 1s, getting 4 wounds and 3 rerolls. And here's the rerolls, getting 1 more wound for 5 wounds total. Minus 1 AP, so 5 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 2 and failing 3. So this Demon Prince will fall from 8 starting wounds down to 5. The fully healthy Nephilim Jet Fighter will now fire everything that it has into this Demon Prince. 2 shots from the Black Sword missile launchers, hitting on 3s, getting 1 hit. Strength 7 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on a 3, rerolling 1s, and failing to wound. 10 shots from the Avenger Mega Bolter, hitting on 3s, getting 7 hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on 4s, rerolling 1s, getting 3 wounds and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting 4 wounds total. Minus 1 AP, so 4-up invulnerable saves. Wow, passing 1 but failing 3. So the Demon Prince will fall from 5 wounds down to 2. 6 shots from the Twin Heavy Bolter, hitting on 3s, getting 4 hits. Strength 5 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on 5s, rerolling 1s, failing to wound but getting 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, still failing to wound. This Tactical Marine squad is going to fire everything that it has into the Demon Prince, beginning with 4 bolt gun shots, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s since they stood still, getting 2 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, still failing to hit. Strength 4 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on 5s, rerolling 1s, and getting 1 wound. No AP, so 1 3-up armor save, which passes. And now the Plasma Cannon will fire D3 supercharged shots, getting just 1 shot. Hitting on a 3, rerolling 1s, getting a hit. Strength 8 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on a 3, rerolling 1s, thanks to the Talamaster, and getting a wound. Minus 3 AP, so 1 4-up invulnerable save, which passes. This Predator will fire everything that it has into Kairos Fateweaver, beginning with the 2 shots from the last cannons, hitting on 3s, getting 1 hit. Strength 9 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on a 3, and it wounds. 1 4-up invulnerable save, which passes. 2 D3 shots from Predator Autocannon, getting 4 shots. Hitting on 3s, getting 2 hits. Strength 7 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 4s, and failing to wound. The Plasma Cannon from this Tactical Marine squad will fire supercharged shots into Kairos Fateweaver. So D3 supercharged shots, getting 3 shots. Hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, thanks to staying still and getting 3 hits. Strength 8 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 3s, getting 1 wound. 1 4-up invulnerable save, which passes. This squad of Tactical Marines will fire everything they have except for this Tactical Marine on the side because he's too close to the wall and therefore can't see, into Kairos Fateweaver, beginning with 1 crack grenade from the Sergeant, hitting on a 3, and it hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on a 5, and it wounds. 1 4-up invulnerable save, which passes. 2 bolt guns in rapid fire range, hitting on 3s, getting 2 hits. Strength 4 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 5s, getting 2 wounds. 2 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 1 and failing 1. So Kairos Fateweaver will fall from 16 starting wounds down to 15. And now for D3 supercharged shots from the plasma cannon, getting 2 shots, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 1 hit. Strength 8 versus toughness 7 means wounding on a 3, and it wounds. 1 4-up invulnerable save, which passes. Belial is not able to see Kairos from behind his spot in the wall, so instead he will fire his Stormbolter into this squad of Screamers, who he can just barely see. 4 shots in rapid fire range, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s thanks to himself, getting 3 hits and a reroll, and here's the reroll, getting 4 hits. Strength 4 versus toughness 4 means wounding on 4s. Getting 3 wounds, 3 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 2 and failing 1. So the wounded Screamer will be finished off. And now this Land Raider will fire everything that it has into Kairos Fateweaver, beginning with 12 shots from the Twin Assault Cannon, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 7 hits and 4 rerolls. And here's the rerolls. Getting 11 hits total. Strength 6 versus toughness 7 means wounding on 5s. Getting 4 wounds. 4 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 2 and failing 2. So Kairos Fateweaver will fall from 15 wounds down to 13. And now for 2 D6 shots from the Flamestorm Cannons, getting 9 shots. This weapon automatically hits, so 9 hits. Strength 6 versus toughness 7 means wounding on 5s. Getting 4 wounds. 4 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 2 and failing 2, and these are 2 damage apiece. So Kairos Fateweaver will fall from 13 wounds down to 9. Going into the assault phase, we have 2 charges to declare. First is Belial charging solely into Kairos Fateweaver, and second will be the squad of Deathwing Knights declaring a multi-charge into Kairos Fateweaver and the Demon Prince. Kairos Fateweaver will be the primary target. And so we will begin with the charge from Belial. No Overwatch, so here's his charge range, and he will get 8 inches. And he will make it in like so. And now for the Deathwing Knights, getting 3 inches, but luckily they're less than 2 away. And they will finish their charge like so, all in combat. So going into the fight phase, we will first resolve the Locus of Trickery, and after taking away the highest, hit rolls of 2 will not count, which will be helpful against Belial. Speaking of whom, Belial will strike first. So 4 attacks from Belial with the Sword of Silence onto Kairos Fateweaver, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s. Thanks to 2s not counting, getting 2 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, still failing to hit. This weapon always wounds on a 2-up, getting 2 wounds. 2 4-up invulnerable saves, and failing both, and they are 2 damage apiece. So 4 damage will go through, and Kairos Fateweaver will fall from 9 wounds down to 5. So now the Deathwing Knights will strike, and this will be a little bit risky, but 3 regular Deathwing Knights will place their attacks onto Kairos Fateweaver, while the Knight Master and the 4th regular Deathwing Knight will place their attacks onto the Demon Prince. So 6 attacks from the regular Deathwing Knights onto Kairos Fateweaver, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 3 hits, 1 fail, and 2 rerolls. And here's the rerolls, getting 1 more hit for 4 hits total. Strength 8 versus toughness 7 means wounding on 3s, getting 4 wounds. 4 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 1 but failing 3, and they are 3 damage apiece. So 9 damage will go through, which is definitely more than enough to finish off Kairos Fateweaver. And so the Dark Angels will score Slay the Warlord. Now for the regular Deathwing Knight onto the Demon Prince, 2 attacks, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 2 hits. Strength 8 versus toughness 6 means wounding on 3s, getting 1 wound, minus 2 AP, so 1 4-up invulnerable save, which passes. And finally, the Knight Master will attack with his 3 attacks, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 2 hits. Strength 6 versus toughness 6 means wounding on 4s, getting 2 wounds, minus 3 AP, so 2 4-up invulnerable saves, and failing both, and they are 2 damage apiece. So the Demon Prince will fall from 7 wounds down to 3 left. But now the Demon Prince will get to strike back. 7 attacks, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, getting 5 hits and 2 rerolls. And here's the 2 rerolls, getting all 7 hits. Strength 7 versus toughness 4 means wounding on 3s, getting 4 wounds, minus 2 AP, so 4 3-up invulnerable saves, passing 2 and failing 2, and they are 2 damage apiece. So 2 regular Deathwing Knights will be killed off. Going into the morale phase, this squad of Deathwing Knights lost 2 models this turn. However, thanks to their special ability Inner Circle, they automatically pass morale checks. This squad of Screamers lost 1 model this turn, but they have leadership of 7, so it's impossible for them to fail. So taking a look at the tactical objective cards, the Dark Angels did finally finish successfully defending Objective 5 for 2 victory points. They failed to complete Mission Critical Objective 4, but they did complete Kingslayer, and they will get D3 victory points for that. So here's the D3 roll, and they will get 2 victory points. And because Objective Marker 4 is in the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch deployment zone, at this point they will throw Mission Critical Objective 4 away. And so at the end of Dark Angels Turn 2, we currently have a score of 6 victory points for the Dark Angels and 0 victory points for the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch. Going into Chaos Demons of Tzeentch Turn 2, a reminder that the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch have 0 command points available, and the Dark Angels also have 0 command points available. And before we go any further, I do need to go back and resolve one more hit from the Nightmaster onto the Demon Prince, because unlike Belial, who normally would hit on 2s rerolling 1s, and the 2s don't count, the Nightmaster only hits on 3s rerolling fails, thanks to Belial. And luckily, this didn't matter between the regular Deathwing Knights and Kairos, because they managed to kill him off without the extra reroll. But the Nightmaster does get 1 additional reroll to try to hit, and he does successfully hit. Strength 6 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on a 4, and it fails to wound anyways. So no further damage is done to the Demon Prince. A reminder that the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch held on to the tactical objective cards behind enemy lines, defend Objective 2, and secure Objective 3 from the previous turn, and because of that they will draw no new tactical objective cards. Also a reminder that they are currently 1 turn into defending Objective 2. And Objective Marker 2 is this one right here, currently being held by a squad of Pink Horrors, and Objective Marker 3 is this one right here, currently being held by a squad of Tactical Marines. So going into the movement phase, this squad of Pink Horrors sitting on Objective Marker 4 will remain still. The Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings locked in combat with the squad of Deathwing Knights will remain locked in combat. The Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery and the Everstaff, since he's still at 9 wounds, will move up to 12 inches up the board. And he will finish his movement over here, making sure to stay over an inch away from any enemy models. This Screamer is going to move up to 16 inches up the board, and he will also declare an advance. And here's the advance roll, rolling for 1 additional inch for up to 17 inches of total movement. And the Screamer will finish up inside the Dark Angels deployment zone, hiding behind the wall of this ruin. This Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings will now move up to 12 inches up the board. And the Demon Prince will finish right here, making sure to stay just over 3 inches away from the squad of Tactical Marines and just over 4 inches away from the Land Raider Redeemer. The Lord of Change with Baleful Sword and the Impossible Robe will move up to 12 inches up the board. And the Lord of Change will finish right there, making sure to stay over an inch away from any enemy models, but he is slightly closer to Belial than he is to the Deathwing Knights. And finally, this squad of Pink Horrors is going to move up to 6 inches up the board, and they will finish like so. Going into the Psychic phase, we will begin with this squad of Pink Horrors, which will attempt to manifest Smite into the squad of Deathwing Knights, because they are the closest enemy unit within 18 inches and also visible. And they are looking for a 5 or a 6, and they fail with a 2. Now, this Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings will attempt to manifest Smite into the squad of Deathwing Knights. And Smite now is a warp charge value of 6, and it passes with a 9. And it will do D3 mortal wounds, and it will do 3 mortal wounds. And so 1 regular Deathwing Knight will be killed off, and the Nightmaster will be brought down from 2 wounds to 1 left. The Lord of Change with Baleful Sword will attempt to manifest Boon of Change onto this Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings, and he will also attempt to manifest Smite onto Belial. So Boon of Change has a warp charge value of 7. And he will get it with an 11, thanks to +2 from the Psychic Test bonus. And rolling a D3 on the table, getting a 1, which is extra limb +1 attack. So until the start of the next Chaos Demons of Tzeentch psychic phase, the Demon Prince of Tzeentch will have +1 attack. And now for Smite, which also has a warp charge value of 7, and that will also pass with an 11, thanks to the +2 from the psychic test bonus. So it will do D6 mortal wounds, and it will do just 1 mortal wound. So Belial will fall from 6 starting wounds down to 5. This Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings will now attempt to manifest Infernal Gateway onto the squad of Tactical Marines. And Infernal Gateway has a warp charge value of 8, and it will fail with a 6. Finally, the Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery and the Everstaff will attempt to manifest Smite onto the Land Raider Redeemer, and he will attempt to manifest Bolt of Change onto the squad of 2 Deathwing Knights. Beginning with Smite, which now has a warp charge value of 8, and it passes with an 11 thanks to +2 from the psychic test bonus and +1 from the Everstaff. So it will do D6 mortal wounds, and it will do 3 mortal wounds. So the Land Raider will fall from 10 wounds down to 7. And now for Bolt of Change, which also has a warp charge value of 8, and that will pass with a 9 thanks to +2 from the psychic test bonus. And it will do D3 mortal wounds, and it will do 2 mortal wounds. So the Knight Master will lose his final wound and be removed, and the regular Deathwing Knight will fall from 2 wounds down to 1 left. Going into the shooting phase, the only unit that can fire is this squad of Pink Horrors, which will fire all of their coruscating flames into this squad of 5 Tactical Marines. 20 shots, and they did not advance, so hitting 4s, rerolling 1s, thanks to the Demon Prince. Getting 9 hits and 4 rerolls. And here's the 4 rerolls, getting 1 additional hit for 10 hits total. Strength 3 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 5s, getting 2 wounds. 2 3-up armor saves, passing 1 and failing 1. So 1 regular Tactical Marine will go down. Going into the assault phase, there are 3 charges to declare. First will be this Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings declaring a charge solely into the squad of Tactical Marines. The Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery and the Everstaff will declare a charge solely into the Land Raider Redeemer. And the Lord of Change with Baleful Sword and the Impossible Robe will declare a charge solely into Belial. And so we will begin with the charge from the Lord of Change with Baleful Sword. Beginning with Overwatch from Belial's Stormbolter, 4 shots, hitting on 6s, rerolling all fails, getting 2 hits, 2 rerolls. And here's the rerolls, getting 1 additional hit. Strength 4 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 5s and failing to wound. And here's the charge range, getting 7 inches. And the Lord of Change is now locked in combat with Belial. Now we will resolve the charge from this Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery into the Land Raider. 12 shots in Overwatch from the Twin Assault Cannon, hitting on 6s, rerolling 1s, getting 3 hits and 4 rerolls. And here's the 4 rerolls, getting 1 additional hit for 4 hits total. Strength 6 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 5s, getting 2 wounds. 2 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 1 and failing 1. So the Lord of Change will fall from 9 wounds down to 8. Now for 2 D6 shots from the Flamestorm Cannons, getting 9 shots. This weapon automatically hits, so 9 hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 5s, getting 3 wounds. 3 4-up invulnerable saves, failing all 3, and it's 2 damage apiece. So the Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery will fall from 8 wounds down to 2. And here's his charge range, getting 6 inches. And the Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery is now fully within the Dark Angel's deployment zone and locked in combat with the Land Raider. So finally, we will resolve the charge from this Demon Prince into the squad of Tactical Marines. Beginning with a crack grenade from the Sergeant, 1 shot, hitting on a 6, rerolling 1s, failing to hit. 2 bolt guns in rapid fire range, so 4 shots, hitting on 6s, rerolling 1s, failing to hit but getting a reroll. And here's the reroll, still failing to hit. And now D3 supercharged shots from the Plasma Cannon, getting 3 shots, hitting on 6s, rerolling 1s, getting 1 hit. Strength 8 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on a 3, and it fails to wound. And here's the charge range, getting 5 inches. And the Demon Prince is now locked in combat like so, while staying fully within the Dark Angel's deployment zone. Going into the fight phase, we first need to resolve the Locus of Trickery. Rolling 2 dice, taking away the highest, so hit rolls of 3 will not count. And so we will begin with this Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings, placing his attacks onto the Tactical Marines. 7 attacks, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s thanks to himself, getting 5 hits and 2 rerolls. And here's the rerolls, failing to get any more hits. Strength 7 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 3s, getting 3 wounds. Minus 2 AP, so 3 5-up armor saves. Passing 2, failing only 1. So 1 regular tactical Tactical Marine will be killed off. Now this Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery will place his attacks onto the Land Raider. Since the Lord of Change is down to only 2 wounds, he only has 3 attack space with his Staff of Tzeentch, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, getting 3 hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 5s, getting 1 wound, minus 2 AP, so 1 4-up armor save, which passes. Finally, from the charging units, the Lord of Change with Baleful Sword and the Impossible Robe will place his attacks onto Belial. Since the Lord of Change is still at 14 wounds, he has 5 attacks base with the Staff of Tzeentch, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, but of course subtracting 1 from hit rolls, thanks to Belial's special ability Parrying Blade, so 2s will not count. So getting 4 hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 3s, getting 3 wounds, minus 2 AP, so 3 4-up armor saves, or 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 2, failing 1. And they are 3 damage apiece, so Belial will fall from 5 wounds down to 2. Now moving over to units that did not charge, beginning with the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch, this Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings will place his attacks onto the lone Deathwing Knight. Thanks to the Boon of Change, 8 attacks, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s thanks to himself, getting 7 hits and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, getting an 8th hit. Strength 7 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 3s, getting 5 wounds, minus 2 AP, so 5 3-up invulnerable saves, passing 3 and failing 2. So the lone Deathwing Knight will lose its final wound and be killed off. And now the Demon Prince will consolidate forward a couple of inches, right to there. But now the Dark Angels will get to strike back, and we will begin with this Land Raider. And now that he's down to 7 wounds, he has D6 attacks, getting 5 attacks, hitting on 6s, getting a very impressive 4 hits. Strength 8 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 3s, getting all 4 wounds. 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 2 and failing 2. So this Lord of Change will lose its last 2 wounds and be killed off. Now the Tactical Marines will fight against the Demon Prince of Tzeentch. They all are in range to fight. 4 attacks total, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, but of course 3s don't count thanks to Locus of Trickery, so getting 3 hits. Strength 4 versus Toughness 6 means wounding on 5s, getting 2 wounds, no AP, so 2 3-up armor saves, passing 1 and failing 1. So the Demon Prince will fall from 2 wounds down to 1. And finally, Belial will strike against the Lord of Change. 4 attacks base with the Sword of Silence, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, but 3s do not count, so getting 3 hits. This weapon always wounds on 2s, getting 2 wounds and a cocked dice. Here's rerolling the cocked dice, getting 3 wounds. 3-up invulnerable saves, passing 1 but failing 2, and they are 2 damage apiece. So the Lord of Change with Baleful Sword will fall from 14 wounds down to 10. Going into the morale phase, this squad of Tactical Marines lost 2 models this turn. However, the Sergeant has a leadership of 8, and so it is impossible for them to fail. So taking a look at the tactical objective cards, thanks to that Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery being killed off in close combat by the Land Raider, the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch only have 2 units within the Dark Angels deployment zone, so they will only complete it for 1 victory point instead of D3. The Chaos Demons of Tzeentch did, however, finish successfully defending Objective 2 for 2 victory points, and they failed to successfully secure Objective 3, and at this point, considering what Tzeentch has alive, they will throw secure Objective 3 away. And so at the end of Chaos Demons of Tzeentch turn 2, we currently have a score of 3 victory points for the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch and 6 victory points for the Dark Angels. Going into Dark Angels turn 3, a reminder that the Dark Angels have 0 command points available, and the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch also have 0 command points available. At the beginning of the turn, because they had no active tactical objective cards left over from the previous turn, the Dark Angels were able to draw 3 new tactical objective cards, and they drew overwhelming firepower. Score 1 victory point if an enemy unit was destroyed during the shooting phase of your turn. If 3 or more enemy units were destroyed during the shooting phase of your turn, score D3 victory points instead. Witch Hunter, score 1 victory point if at least 1 enemy Psyker was destroyed during this turn. And the Path of Redemption, score 1 victory point if during your turn a friendly Dark Angels unit charged an enemy unit with a higher power rating than its own. Going into the movement phase, this squad of Tactical Marines will remain still. This Ravenwing Talon Master is going to move across the board up to 16 inches, and he will finish right here just over an inch away from the Demon Prince. The Nephilim Jet Fighter that's down to to 2 wounds, will pivot up to 90 degrees to its right and move up the board 20 inches. And it will finish its movement like so, very wobbly on the crater. This Nephilim jet fighter will pivot up to 90 degrees to its right, and then it will move up the board at least 20 inches, but no more than 50. Right to there. This squad of 3 tactical marines will remain locked in combat with the Demon Prince. Belial is going to fall back out of combat with the Lord of Change, like so. This Land Raider Redeemer will remain still. This Predator will remain still. This squad of tactical marines will also remain still. Going into the shooting phase, we will begin with the squad of 3 tactical marines, which will fire their bolt pistols into the Demon Prince. 3 bolt pistol shots, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s thanks to Belial. And here's the reroll, getting 3 hits. Strength 4 versus toughness 6 means wounding on 5s, rerolling 1s, getting 1 wound. 1 3-up invulnerable save, 1 3-up armor save, which fails anyways. So thanks to some bolt pistols, this Demon Prince loses its last wound and is killed off. This Predator is going to fire everything that it has into the Lord of Change with Baleful Sword and the Impossible Robe. Beginning with the 2 shots from the last cannons, hitting on 3s, getting 1 hit. Strength 9 versus toughness 7 means wounding on a 3, and it wounds. 1 3-up invulnerable save, which fails, and it will do d6 damage, and it will do 3 damage. So the Lord of Change will fall from 10 wounds down to 7. 2 d3 shots from the Predator autocannon, hitting 5 shots, hitting on 3s, getting 3 hits, 1 miss, and 1 cocked dice. And here's the cocked dice, getting a 4th hit. Strength 7 versus toughness 7 means wounding on 4s, getting 3 wounds. 3 3-up invulnerable saves, passing 1 but failing 2. And they are 3 damage apiece for 6 damage total, so the Lord of Change with Baleful Sword will fall from 7 wounds down to 1 left. The plasma cannon from this tactical marine squad will fire supercharged shots into the Lord of Change with Baleful Sword and the Impossible Robe. And he will fire d3 shots, getting 1 shot, hitting on a 3, rerolling 1s, getting a hit. Strength 8 versus toughness 7 means wounding on a 3, and it wounds. 1 3-up invulnerable save, which passes. The fully healthy Nephilim jet fighter will fire everything that it has into this squad of pink horrors, starting with 2 shots from the Black Sword missile launchers, hitting on 2s thanks to strafing run, getting only 1 hit. Strength 7 versus toughness 3 means wounding on a 2, and it wounds. 1 4-up invulnerable save, which fails. So 1 regular pink horror will go down. 10 shots from the Avenger Megabolter, hitting on 2s, getting 9 hits. Strength 6 versus toughness 3 means wounding on 2s, getting 6 wounds. 6 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 3 and failing 3. So 3 regular pink horrors will go down. 6 shots from the Twin Heavy Bolter, hitting on 2s, getting 4 hits. Strength 5 versus toughness 3 means wounding on 3s, getting 3 wounds. 3 4-up invulnerable saves, passing 1 but failing 2. So 2 more regular pink horrors will go down. Now the Nephilim jet fighter that is down to 2 wounds will fire everything that it has into this squad of 4 pink horrors, beginning with 2 shots from the Black Sword missile launchers, hitting on 4s thanks to strafing run and failing to hit. 10 shots from the Avenger Megabolter, hitting on 4s, getting 3 hits. Strength 6 versus toughness 3 means wounding on 2s, getting 3 wounds. 3 4-up invulnerable saves, failing all 3. So the regular pink horror will go down, the instrument will go down, and the iridescent horror will also go down, leaving only the demonic icon left alive. However, we still have the 6 shots from the Twin Heavy Bolter left, hitting on 4s, getting 2 hits. Strength 5 versus toughness 3 means wounding on 3s, getting 1 wound. 1 4-up invulnerable save, which fails. So this pink horror squad is wiped out. 2 bolt guns from this tactical marine squad along with the plasma cannon are within range and can see, and therefore will fire into the Lord of Change with Baleful Sword and the Impossible Robe. 2 shots from the bolt guns, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, failing to hit. D3 supercharged shots from the plasma cannon, getting 3 shots, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, getting 3 hits. Strength 8 versus toughness 7 means wounding on 3s, failing to wound. So the Land Raider Redeemer is going to fire its twin assault cannon into the Lord of Change with Baleful Sword, who is down to 1 wound, and it will fire both of its Flamestorm cannons into the Lone Screamer. Beginning with the 2 Flamestorm cannons into the Lone Screamer, 2d6 shots, getting 10 shots. This weapon automatically hits, so 10 hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 4 means wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s thanks to the Talon Master. Getting 5 wounds and 3 rerolls. And here's the rerolls. Getting just 1 more wound for 6 wounds total. 6. 4 up invulnerable saves. Passing 4, failing 2. But it is 2 damage apiece, so only 1 would have needed to go through, and this Screamer is wiped out. And now for the 12 shots from the Twin Assault Cannon into the Lord of Change, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s thanks to Belial, getting 8 hits and 3 rerolls. And here's the rerolls, getting 1 more hit for 9 hits total. Strength 6 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 5s, rerolling 1s, getting 1 wound and 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, still failing to wound. So 1 3-up invulnerable save, which passes. Finally, in the shooting phase, the Ravenwing Talon Master will fire everything that he has into the Lord of Change with Baleful Sword and the Impossible Robe, beginning with 12 shots from the Twin Assault Cannon hitting on 3s, and he is not close enough to Belial for rerolls, so getting only 7 hits. Strength 6 versus Toughness 7 means wounding on 5s, rerolling 1s, getting 4 wounds, 4 3-up invulnerable saves, and failing 2, which means since the Lord of Change only has 1 wound left, there is no point in using its once per game reroll to try to save one of those. So the Lord of Change with Baleful Sword and the Impossible Robe will lose its last wound and be killed off. Going into the assault phase, there are 2 charges to declare. First will be the Land Raider Redeemer declaring a charge into the Demon Prince, and the second charge, once the Land Raider is out of the way, will be the squad of 3 Tactical Marines also charging into the Demon Prince. There is no Overwatch, so here's the charge from the Land Raider, getting 10 inches, and he will make it in like so. And now for the charge from the 3 Tactical Marines. And here's their charge range, rolling double 1s, so they definitely fail. Going into the fight phase, we will begin by resolving Locus of Trickery, rolling 2 dice, take away the highest. Hit rolls of 2 will not count, and that will not matter. So we will resolve the attacks from the Land Raider first. D6 attacks, getting 6 attacks, hitting on 6s, rerolling 1s, failing to hit and getting 1 reroll. And here's the reroll, still failing to hit. So now 8 attacks back from the Demon Prince, thanks to Boon of Change still being active. Hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, getting 8 hits. Strength 7 versus Toughness 8 means wounding on 5s, getting 3 wounds, minus 2 AP, so 3 4-up armor saves. Passing 1 but failing 2, and they are 2 damage apiece. So the Land Raider will fall from 7 wounds down to 3. And going into the morale phase, there are no morale tests to take. And so taking a look at the tactical objective cards, the Dark Angels did successfully complete overwhelming firepower, and they did kill off 3 units, so they will get D3 victory points for that. And here's the roll, getting just 1. The Dark Angels also successfully completed Witch Hunter for 1 victory point, and because the Tactical Marines failed their charge, they did not complete the Path of Redemption, and at this point they will throw that one away. And so at the end of Dark Angels turn 3, the score currently sits at 8 victory points for the Dark Angels and 3 victory points for the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch. Going into Chaos Demons of Tzeentch turn 3, a reminder that the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch have 0 command points available, and the Dark Angels also have 0 command points available. At the beginning of the turn, thanks to having no active tactical objective cards, the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch drew 3 new ones, and they drew no prisoners. Score 1 victory point if an enemy unit was destroyed during your turn. If between 3 and 5 enemy units were destroyed during your turn, score D3 victory points instead. If 6 or more enemy units were destroyed during your turn, score D3 plus 3 victory points instead. Hold the line, score 1 victory point if you have at least 3 units completely within your deployment zone and your opponent has no models within your deployment zone at the end of your turn. This objective cannot be achieved on your first turn. And defend objective 3, score 2 victory points if you control objective marker 3 at the end of 2 consecutive turns. And objective marker 3 is this one right here, currently being held by a squad of Tactical Marines. And at this point, the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch are going to concede the game. Currently, neither side has Linebreaker, as I'm pretty sure Flyers are not able to get Linebreaker, since they're not allowed to hold objective markers. If I am incorrect on that, please correct me in the comments down below, or if I am correct on that, please let me know, just so that I know I am doing it correctly. But because of that, we have a final score of 8 victory points for the Dark Angels and 3 victory points for the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch, with a major victory for the Dark Angels thanks to a concession. And so now that it's been announced that the Dark Angels have secured a major victory thanks to a concession from the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch at the beginning of Chaos Demons of Tzeentch turn 3, with the final score of 8-3 victory points in Dark Angels' favor, I can go over one or two of my final thoughts on this particular game. First and foremost, of course, is the major reason for concession, and it's pretty obvious at this point, but the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch are about one turn away from being tabled, and the Dark Angels are not. The Chaos Demons of Tzeentch just don't have the firepower left on the table anymore to really be able to do anything. They're already behind on victory points, and there is no real way for them to come back. I think what hit the final nail into the coffin was the fact that the Land Raider managed to kill off the Lord of Change with Rod of Sorcery in close combat. Because when the Lord of Change was killed off, that meant that in the next Dark Angels turn, that Land Raider was no longer engaged and could fire normally. And thanks to the Land Raider being able to fire normally, they had more than enough firepower to finish off the Lord of Change with Baleful Sword. And of course, the two Nephilim jet fighters should be commended for being able to kill off an entire squad of 10 pink horrors on their own, even with one of the Nephilim jet fighters being down to only 2 wounds. So unfortunately for the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch, they have a heavily wounded Demon Prince and one squad of 10 pink horrors left on the table, and that's all. And that's just not enough to win the game. I also think the Dark Angels got off to a very good start when the squad of Ravenwing Black Knights had a very impressive volley of fire and killed off the squad of Screamers right away. And the dice rolls really seemed to go against the Tzeentch in this game, failing way more psychic powers than they should have, and also not getting very many hits in close combat when they were locked in combat. So overall, it was a pretty heavy slaughter from the Dark Angels. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this battle report, and stay tuned for the next one.